I'm a teenage girl. My BFF Becky texts and says she's kissed Johnny. Well, that's a problem, because I like Johnny. Now, I'm emotionally compromised and whoopsies. I'm all, OMG, Becky's not even hot. And
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Colorado Department of Transportation and the Loveland Police Department. A multi-car pileup has occurred at the US 34 I-25 interchange in Loveland, Colorado. As of 5:20 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I-25 is currently closed in both directions between exit 255 and exit 259, pending a full cleanup until further notice. All motorists are asked to avoid the area at all costs, and to take an alternate route immediately if they intend to drive through the Loveland area. Do not interfere with police and emergency vehicles and personnel near the accident. You may be arrested. In addition, one of the vehicles involved in the accident was a semi-truck carrying 5 tons of chlorine trifluoride. Although no fires have been reported as of yet, as a precaution, all Loveland residents within a quarter-mile of the accident are required to evacuate immediately. Repeating, a multi-car pileup has occurred at the US 34 I-25 interchange in Loveland, Colorado, and I-25 is now closed between exits 255 and 259, and, due to the risk of a chemical explosion, all Loveland residents less than a quarter-mile from the accident are required to evacuate immediately. Do not interfere with police or emergency personnel, you may be arrested.
Hey, wait a minute. Why hasn't anyone checked on the tanker? That thing could possibly blow at any minute. Isn't anyone... We haven't checked on it because of the risk it poses. Getting a hazmat team up from Denver. But as far as anyone is concerned, we're supposed to stay away from it. Besides, it's not like we haven't already evacuated the driver. I'm just saying! Oh, hey guys, the tanker's on fire. Get the hell back! Everybody get back!
Don't look now. Chuck Norris is right behind you.
I heard superheroes read Chuck Norris comics.
I heard at night the boogeyman checks under the bed for Chuck.
I heard Chuck Norris's reflection won't even look him in the eye.
I heard when cops need cops, they call Chuck Norris.
I heard when Chuck gets in the water, sharks get out of the ocean.
I heard when Chuck Norris is hiking, grizzlies look out for him.
I heard Chuck Norris rides the motor without the cycle.
I heard Chuck Norris wears a hat to protect the sun.
I heard medicine takes Chuck Norris to feel better.
I heard what actually killed the guy.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Loveland Police Department. Residents of Loveland, Colorado east of Boyd Lake Avenue, shelter in place immediately. At 5:19 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, a fire erupted from one of the tankers involved in the accident at US 34 and I-25. The tanker that was carrying 5 tons of chlorine trifluoride has exploded and has released a toxic gas that is now in the air. The direction that the wind was traveling will push the gas as far west as Boyd Lake Avenue. This is an extremely dangerous situation. Chlorine trifluoride has been known to burn through concrete and has also been known to ignite fire retardant materials such as sand or asbestos, and can corrode materials that were thought to be non-corrodable, such as iridium and gold. In addition, exposure to larger amounts of chlorine trifluoride in a liquid or gaseous form will ignite living tissue. Areas close to more concentrated amounts of the chemical will catch on fire. Despite this risk, you are urged to remain calm and to avoid panicking. Repeat, remain calm, and do not panic. Panicking historically has made emergency situations far worse. To shelter in place, close all doors and windows. Turn off all heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, and close fireplaces. Seal cracks around doors and windows with tape or wet towels. While this is not a nuclear attack, treat it as one and move to the lowest and central part of your building to reduce your chance of exposure. Wait for an all-clear signal before leaving your shelter. Due to the nature of the chemicals, you are also encouraged to gather 3 days' worth of food and water. In addition, if you are already in the process of evacuating, continue to leave the area until you are west of Boyd Lake Avenue. Repeating, due to the explosion of a tanker carrying chlorine trifluoride, all Loveland residents east of Boyd Lake Avenue are required to shelter in place immediately, or, if you are in the process of evacuating, to complete your evacuation. This message will repeat in 1 minute.
We interrupt this regularly scheduled programming with some breaking news. Normal programming will resume following the conclusion of this report.
Good evening. I'm Mary Stoles from 9 News here in Denver. We've interrupted normal programming to bring to you coverage of a chemical spill in Loveland, Colorado, believed to be the end result of a multi-car pileup there that occurred minutes earlier. On the scene just outside of Loveland is our correspondent Jerry Maslin. Jerry.
Mary, I'm standing just outside the Loveland city limits, where, as you can probably hear behind me, police have closed off the entry into the city following today's chlorine trifluoride spill. Despite the fires you can hear raging behind me, firefighters are not being allowed into the city given the likelihood that attempting to put out the fire would merely spread it, given chlorine trifluoride's ability to react violently with water. So far, the policy here has been one of containment, and while it is working so far, the main concern is what should be done once the fire is completely contained.
Are there any plans in place to fulfill that?
Yes, there are. A hazmat team is coming up from Denver to help extinguish the flames through what is believed to be an application of noble gases, though I'm not 100% sure just how that's going to be accomplished over here.
There's been a rumor that this is the prelude to a major terrorist attack. Can you confirm or deny that?
I haven't heard that rumor, but given the way things are going here, I believe the answer is definitely.
The following message is transmitted at the request of Larimer County Emergency Management. A wildfire caused by the explosion of a chemical tanker is currently threatening areas of Loveland east of Rocky Mountain Avenue and north of US 34. Despite the risk posed by this wildfire, if you are in the affected area, you are requested to not evacuate at this time due to the risks posed from exposure to toxic chemicals in the air. Instead, take the following actions. Continue to shelter in place unless you are in direct danger from the fire. Repeat, do not evacuate unless you are in direct danger from the fire. Even so, use this as a last resort. Do not attempt to fight this fire. Attempting to fight this fire by yourself or with others will almost certainly lead to your death. Hazmat teams will determine when or if individual homes need to be evacuated in the event the fire becomes a threat to the surrounding area. To indicate that you are still occupying your home, Draw a red cross on any of your windows. Repeating, due to a wildfire caused by the explosion of a chemical tanker, all residents east of Rocky Mountain Avenue and north of US 34 are requested to remain in their homes unless you are in direct danger from the fire.
Thieves don't just steal things.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Fort Collins Police Department and the Colorado National Guard. Mass looting is currently taking place within downtown Fort Collins. Due to the situation facing the Fort Collins Police Department, the Colorado National Guard has been called in to aid the Fort Collins Police Department in a mutual assistance operation to restore law and order and protect life and property. Due to the mass looting and civil unrest in the Fort Collins area, all Fort Collins residents are ordered to shelter in place and avoid traveling. If you have a medical emergency that requires you to travel, dial 911 for assistance by city or military personnel. Otherwise, remain at home and do not travel. While martial law is not in effect for the city of Fort Collins, it may become necessary if the situation worsens. In the event this becomes necessary, a curfew from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. will be enacted until further notice. Despite this, if you are caught looting, you will be immediately arrested without counsel as if martial law was in effect. Repeat, do not join in the looting. Repeating, due to mass rioting in the Fort Collins area, all Fort Collins residents are ordered to shelter in place until further notice. Do not participate in the looting, you will be arrested.
Please stand by for a message from the Governor of Colorado.
Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Joshua Riggs.
My fellow Coloradans, good evening. I'm here to report on the situation in Loveland and Fort Collins and what to do next. As many of you are very well aware, the city of Loveland is currently sheltering in place following the explosion of a tanker containing chlorine trifluoride following a multi-car accident near Loveland. It is unknown if anyone has been killed in this incident, nor is it known how many have been injured, but it can readily assume that there have been casualties. However, if this was the only thing occurring, I would end it here with condolences to the people of Loveland and ask that everyone involved remain calm until they are allowed to leave their homes. I have, however, just been informed of mass looting that is taking place in the city of Fort Collins following what is believed to have been a rumor this accident was actually a terrorist attack perpetrated by the Order of the Velvet Cat or Red Iris. This is completely and utterly false. I have been in contact with President Serenity Llewellyn, and she has confirmed that this is, to her knowledge, not a terrorist attack. Any panic buying and looting is completely unwarranted, and I beg all Coloradans to treat it as such. I understand that you are afraid, but this is not the correct course of action. If the situation does not change, I can, and will, enact martial law in Larimer County to prevent further instances of looting within the area. I once again plead for calm, as martial law is the last thing I would want to happen in this great state. We suffered it far too much after the Durham and Smoky Mountain nuclear attacks. Finally, on one final note, I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the members of the emergency services who rushed to the scene and to the armed forces and police officers currently attempting to bring law and order to the city of Fort Collins. I appreciate your sacrifice for the state of Colorado and, by extension, the United States of America. Thank you, and God bless the state of Colorado, and God bless the United States of America.
That was a message from the Governor of Colorado. We will now return to the emergency alert system.
This concludes operations of the emergency alert system. We will now return to normal programming. This is an administrative message from the City of Fort Collins and Larimer County Emergency Management. All clear. The rioting that prompted the shelter-in-place warning has ceased in the City of Fort Collins and Larimer County. Repeating, the rioting that prompted the shelter-in-place warning has ceased in Larimer County. It is now safe to leave your home. However, keep in mind that while the shelter-in-place warning has been allowed to expire, you are reminded to not instigate any riots. Do not instigate any new riots, you will be arrested. Normal television programming will now resume following the conclusion of this message. This concludes operations of the emergency alert system. We will now resume normal programming. This is an administrative message from the Loveland Police Department. All clear. The risk of chemical contamination is no longer a present threat within the city of Loveland. Repeating, the risk of chemical contamination that prompted the shelter-in-place warning has ceased in the city of Loveland. It is now safe to leave your home. However, keep in mind that while the shelter-in-place warning has been allowed to expire, you are requested to avoid areas that you suspect are chemically contaminated. Check with local authorities before entering an area that you suspect is chemically contaminated. Normal television programming will now resume following the conclusion of this message. This concludes operations of the emergency alert system. We will now resume normal programming.